we'll get going here. I come to you with only karate, empty hands. I have no weapons, but should I be forced to defend myself, my principles, or my honor, should it be a matter of life or death, right or wrong, then here are my weapons, karate, my empty hands. Friends and grasshoppers, this is the Formless Podcast, episode number 130, with Tyler, the superhuman, me, Dustin, and today, I'm super excited. Today, we have a guest that we have talked about in various episodes of our podcast. He's been a staple of our community for 30 years, teaching, well, more than 30 years. Yeah, teaching for over 30 years, probably closer to 40. Mr. Scott Halsey, 9th degree Kenpo Black belt. Sir, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Welcome. Yeah, we're glad to have you. We have referenced you in a bunch of episodes before, you know, just talking about the tournament and talking about
other local martial artists,
local martial artists who have been here for a long time, you know, and have had schools. So, yeah, welcome. We're glad to have you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
So we just came off of last weekend. We went to your tournament, and you have, what is it? 3 times a year you have your tournament, right? You want to talk about that a little bit?
Excuse me. Yeah, we have a tournament 3 times a year. January is usually the bigger tournament because we don't have soccer and baseball to compete with, and the weather is bad. So lots of the schools are fuller, and more people are coming to the tournament at that time. Yeah, we've been running this. Again, I've had my school for over 40 years now, and we've been running tournaments almost just as long. And it's we've really got it down to a point where everybody there is a great competitor. They're working hard, but they're also, the attitudes that everybody has are fantastic.
Everybody's friendly. They're happy to be there.
Yeah, they're friendly. It's just, you know, there's no Cobra Kai feeling going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's not a lot of rivalry, our school's better than your school kind of stuff.
Don't get me wrong. When they get in the ring, everybody's competing and they're going for it. But, you know, in fact, my wife just told me a story. There's two girls. One of them was from our school, and another one's from one of the schools from the YMCA, from Tommy Cervania's school. And these girls grew up competing against each other. Now they're off at college. They ended up seeing each other in town in Reading, and they hugged each other, and, you know, they danced together. I mean, they just were friends, you know. So it was, again, no Cobra Kai, but they competed against each other, and when they did, it was competition. But off the mat, you know, sometimes those are your best friends. You know?
Absolutely.
Sometimes only martial artists understand martial artists.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's right.
For sure.
So you have the tournament, you have the bigger one in January, and then usually in May you have one, usually right around rodeo weekend, I think it is.
Yeah, usually it's mid-May, and then we have one at the end of September also. And those aren't smaller by design. That just happens to be, you know, we still hold the same one at Shasta High School. And they're not even that much smaller. Maybe 30 people less, you know, 40 people less. They're still pretty well attended.
It's a packed house.
Yeah, and we got people from Auburn, we had people from Klamath Falls, we had people from Reno, we had people from all over the place. So it's a pretty good draw. Yeah. So somebody, I was telling one of my friends that, and they said, well, the city should pay you to have this tournament.
There might be an avenue there somewhere.
Not holding my breath.
Well, so Dustin and I, we were walking around at the tournament and just talking to everybody and just, you know, making friends. And every time I go there, I've been to probably 6 or 7 of your tournaments. And every time we go there and you talk to the different people from the different schools, like you said, that come from all over. And I mean, it really attracts some big people, you know, that your tournament attracts. And it's really cool that all the different people from all the different arts. I mean, we were finding out at your tournament, you've got obviously your Kenpo, and your Kenpo guys and all the different schools that do Kenpo. Then they had Tong Sudo, Shotokan, yeah, with Hector.
Yeah.
Ishinru.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's a nice...
And Corey from your
From Wu Ying Dao, yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice... you tend to find like with politics or religion or martial arts, like you find your niche and like that's the only thing we do. Like, I don't want to have any of this and I don't want to have any of that. I got my thing. And that's not really there.
Yeah, well, I think our school,
cool.
our tournament is kind of more reflective of when I was a kid in the 80s. So my feeling back then was that it was really, there were other schools, everybody was coming together. The Internationals in Long Beach, that was an awesome opportunity.
Yeah.
You could see everything. You could see monkey style kung fu. You could see Shotokan. You could see, I mean, they were, and
if it was available,
and all the
it was
famous
there.
people were there. Jean LaBelle was there. Yeah, all these people that that your heroes, Benny Urquidez, you could see him there. You could see all these people that were your heroes, and so it was really a well-rounded mix. And then I think basically what happened is, once you got the big karate schools, once the schools got to be like 500 students, 600 students, something like that, my interpretation is the quality of the martial artists kind of went down, and also you could have your own tournament
with your own school.
You could have 400 or 500 people at your tournament, only your school, and then you wouldn't have to bring in other people from other schools where your students might see somebody better than you. You know what I mean? So it's kind of that was my interpretation of kind of what was going on at that time. And I don't hear about it as much. I think a lot of the big schools, you don't hear about them as much. I don't know why, what that kind of fizzled. But anyway, our tournament is still kind of that. I like to have that feel of, I want my students to see something else. Again, look at that. There's other stuff. A true teacher is somebody that's trying to show you the road, not take you, not control
this
you.
is the path. Yeah.
There's other roads to use your own brain. Yeah,
absolutely. So if we could back up just a little bit, I would love to hear how you got into martial arts, how you turned it into your life and business and things. So where did you get your start?
So I when I was 4 years old, my dad was stationed up at Fort Lewis in Washington. He was a 20-year veteran of the military. Excuse me. And I had a friend that lived across the street that was doing Taekwondo, and he invited me to his class. So
At four.
So this is an early memory for me walking into this school. I think they even had like some corny Bruce Lee music playing, the Enter the Dragon soundtrack.
Yeah.
People are jumping and kicking. I'm like, yeah, this is for me. And so I just started there. And then when we moved to Reading, there was a break. My dad had to go to Germany for 1.5 years in the service. And so there was a break there. Then I was 8. That was like the first thing I wanted to do. I'm like, he was like, okay, well, let's get you back in karate. So we went to Al Myrtle School on Hilltop, and I started training with him when I was 8.
Wow.
And he, and got to my black belt. I tested in front of Ed Parker for my black belt.
You tested in front of Ed Parker for your black belt?
Yeah, in 1986.
Wow.
October 11th, 1986.
Oh, man.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact date, but Tyler and I also tested in October.
It was October, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What did Ed Parker come up here, or did you go down somewhere south?
Long story short, Al kind of was the start school, and then politics took over, and different people opened up school. There was a point in Reading where when I opened my school with Phil Streeter, there were 5 Kenpo schools in Reading.
No kidding.
Yeah, 5 Kenpo schools in Reading. So at this point, Mike Stevenson, who now is up in Oregon, but anyway, he had a school, White Dog Gym, he used to call it, over by the old drive-in.
Oh, no kidding.
Market Street. He brought Ed Parker in for a seminar. And so I was able to test on that day, say, hey, because I wanted to test for my black belt. And Al Myrtle was still my teacher at the time, and he put me up. And I got in front of the board and did my black belt test.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did somebody did somebody have to vouch for you? Like, hey, this is my student. He's legit.
Yeah,
he's not just like coming in off the street.
Exactly. Yeah. You'd have to have somebody say, hey, I'm going to put this guy up for
Wow.
for a
How
ring.
cool.
Yeah. So I tested in front of him. And that day, Huck Planis was also on the board, who was his number 2 guy, who was eventually, that's who I started training with in 1991, was with Huck.
Yeah.
Huck was his vice president and helped Ed Parker put the system together. So Huck was there when the techniques and the forms were being developed. He was there.
He kind of like narrowed things down, like
he just was there. He and Tom Kelly and Ed Parker put it together, and there was a point really where we always called Huck the encyclopedia of Kenpo. If you had a question about it, he just knew the answers, and they made sense. And because he was there, he was the horse. You got the horse's mouth. He's the horse. You know what I mean? And I even dare to say that I think he still remembered even more about Kenpo than Ed Parker did. Ed Parker, he put the system together, but in some ways Ed Parker was Ed Parker. He just was just a tough, bad dude, and he had lots of knowledge anyway. But Huck was really kind of a by the book, by the line kind of guy. So if you had questions,
he was the guy to go to.
If you had nerdy questions, he knew the nerdy answer.
How cool!
And really, but I should say principles and concepts.
Yeah.
Huck Planis, is that how you say it, right?
Yes.
Huck, did he live here or did he live somewhere else?
He lived. He grew up around the Fresno area. He started. Basically, that's where he started his martial arts training, and then he ended up working for Ed Parker in Pasadena. Wow. Then when Ed Parker went bankrupt, things kind of exploded, and Huck, I think at that point he moved to Alaska first, then back to LA, and then he ended up going to Chico because one of his best friends, Bill Sheehan, opened a school in Chico. So he went to be with his best friend. He started working at the Hatch Cover restaurant. Huck was a bartender at the Hatch Cover.
No kidding?
Yeah, here and down in Rockland. And he started doing all that stuff.
No, dude, that is awesome.
Yeah, so he kind of was, he didn't, he had, and then eventually somebody, like a doctor, sponsored him to move to New Orleans. So he started his school in New Orleans. And the schools, I don't think they really made it, but he started doing seminars more and more. Okay. So he started traveling, especially after Parker died. He started traveling the world and doing seminars
and teaching.
That. Yeah, and teaching.
Spreading the word.
So he wasn't like a school guy, but he was a teacher's teacher.
Yeah.
That's really what he was. Yeah.
And you had him, like, I think just a couple of years ago, didn't you?
Yeah, we had him annually. We have him once a year here. But and then also the Epperson brothers in Chico, they have a school done. They would bring him once a year. Al Myrtle and Anderson would bring him once a year. Some people, guys down in Auburn would. So we luckily got to see him like 4 or 5 times a year and got to train with him.
Wow.
And even still, like my wife would laugh and go, "You're gonna go to another seminar? Don't you know everything yet?" and it would be, especially
my
towards
wife
the
says
end,
the same stuff.
we would joke like, "Yeah, I mean, I got him," but there would always be some pearl that he would pull on and I haven't heard that yet, and that's going to make me a better martial artist. It's going to make it easier for me to explain it to my students. So he always was able to pull something out.
How cool!
And plus, I mean, we were all friends too.
Yeah,
it was just a good time to get together.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What a story, man! That's freaking amazing.
And Huck was also, on the side. It's funny because he was a musician. And he was a guitar player, and I believe it was in Fresno where he would play, on stage with people that were coming in. So he played with the Doors. He played with a lot of different stars and actually when he was with Parker was training Elvis Presley, and Huck got to know Elvis, and so he would tell all these stories. Yeah. It was
my gosh!
It was fun to hear him talk about Elvis, and in fact, we were at the last seminar we did in Vegas. We did a big gathering, and I'm sorry, but I can't remember the name of the hotel where Elvis used to stay all the time.
Yeah,
it has a new name now anyway. But they have a room there, an Elvis room, and you can go up to the room and see the room. And Huck went in there, and he goes talking to the lady that's the tourist guide. Last time I was in here was Elvis with Elvis Presley, and she was kind of like, "Yes, sir. I'm sure it was.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I'm sure you knew Elvis. Like
I hear this every tour guy. Yeah. Oh, that is so awesome.
Wow. Okay. So going back to what you were saying, like the early stuff. Where were we at on that? I forget.
Well, we just talked about his beginnings getting started at 4.
Then we got off on a second.
Yeah. I wanted to return to that point and where we were
I
at.
can talk more about me, sure. That's my favorite
That's
subject.
the idea.
Right? That's the key to conversation. Talk about everybody's favorite subject. Anyway, so we had this school. Al had a school. Some politics ended up happening. He ended up moving out. Anyway, so there was a point where there were a bunch of schools. A bunch of brown belts asked me if I wanted to run a school with them. So I was running a school with a bunch of brown belts, and Al was kind of coming in once in a while. That didn't work out. More politics. I ended up starting a school with a guy named Phil Streeter. Phil has an aneurysm and dies like that. Like it's here today, gone tomorrow kind of a thing.
Kidding.
Yeah. Young guy in his 30s, so yeah, Lord. Scary. Yeah. So the school is mine and I'm 15, and I'm thinking.
Wait. 15.
15.
And you're running a business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not even a driver's license yet.
Right. Yeah. Probably,
Hey, Mom, can you take me to work? Holy crap.
Yeah.
I don't even want to talk about when I was 15. Dang.
So the school is mine. I'm thinking I'm going to do this for a while, and then I'm, again, coming from a military family. I'm like, I think I'll go in the military, get some college, figure out what I want to do.
I'll grow up.
Yeah, I'll grow up a little bit. And the school kind of starts taking off, and I'm going to college and I'm running the business at the same time. So it really kind of came to one or the other. Like I couldn't do both. So I just thought, I really just want to teach karate, and I'm young enough where I'm gonna go for this and see how it goes. If it doesn't work, I'm still young enough to go
back to college, go to
do
the
my
military.
thing.
Yeah,
right. And it took off.
Still waiting for it to.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to grow up. Yeah.
So holy cow! I'm blown away. 15.
I'm blown away too.
I grew up here, right? And we lived in Anderson, but we would come to Reading because my dad worked in Reading, all of his friends and stuff. We'd come up to Reading, go grocery shopping or whatever, and we'd end up inevitably driving by your school. And as a kid, I'm like, oh, Mom, Dad, that's what I want to do. And my parents are like, we already come up to Reading once a week. We're not coming up, I got 4 kids in the car, like, yeah, sure. But you were always kind of like your school in the various locations was always like, oh, there it is. Hey, Mom, Dad, I don't want to do Little League. Let's go here, that kind of thing. And then as growing up, you see other places, you get into training and whatnot, but you were always like a staple, at least for my childhood. Like it was like your school, McDonald's, whatever else was around, but you were there. And I'm always kind of curious about how that all started. So 15. Holy
15,
crap.
yeah. So you're running it. This is probably what, the 80s?
Late 80s. Yep.
And this is when karate was still probably kind of peaking, or was it?
Yeah, still feeling the Karate Kid thing. I knew that I needed more education than what I had running this school, and there weren't a lot of people making it, as a martial arts
as a
school,
job. Yeah.
But there was a guy in Chico named Pat Haley, and Pat Haley had a Shorin-ryu school, and he had over 100 students, which at that time was a lot of students. So, and he and I were friends through tournaments. So I started kind of training with him, picking his brain.
How do you do this? Yeah.
And I almost went to work for him at one point. Anyway, that didn't work. I ended up going to Okinawa with him, got my brown belt in Okinawan karate. So a lot of the business stuff, some of it I got from Al, from the Tracy. There's the Ed Parker and the Tracy brothers started chain Kenpo schools. So there's this chain Kenpo school, and some of the things I do we're still from that. Learned some of that from Al. Learned a lot of stuff from Pat on not just how to have students, but how to keep students and to grow your school. So, and between those things and what my own experiments, the school has been able to keep going and thrive. So it's never been as big as I would have imagined in my late teens and early 20s. But there is a point where you feel like, how much can I compromise? Honestly, I'll tell you the truth. I will have a bad yellow belt and I might have a bad purple belt. I will not have a bad black belt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As a student is what I'm saying. You know,
Yeah.
I'll compromise to a point, but I do have a hard line at blue, brown, and black belt. Like, these are the things. Now no longer do I work for you. Now you work for me. If you want your black belt, this is what I do.
Well, and I agree. It should be a hard thing. We should have to do hard things.
Yeah.
And I don't want it given, especially something that I revere and want to respect and honor. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, in the beginning, you know, I say like yellow belts, I give those out like candy. Like, honestly, I need you to get your confidence up, feel good about yourself, feel like you've learned something.
And
I don't
come
want,
back.
I don't want to,
Yeah.
I don't want to pound, and it's not fair to pound you down as a beginner. You know what I mean? My job is when you first walk into the school. I remember a friend of mine that was a coach for Anderson and West Valley, football coach, and we were talking about the kids football. And he said, the job of these coaches is to make the kids fall in love with football.
yeah.
So my job when you're a beginner is to make you fall in love with martial arts and also build up your confidence to see what you can do.
And then we'll get the hard stuff.
As we keep going and you keep getting more and more serious about it, then I can start being more, bad cop.
It'll make you fall in love with it, and then we'll
get
down to brass tacks.
Exactly, yeah.
And so in Kenpo, it goes white belt, yellow belt, blue belt. Is it
white, yellow, orange, purple, blue, green, brown, black, and the color? I'm not sure how much it's you guys know about the history of the belt. They used to give you one white belt, and you never washed it because it was a symbol of washing away hard work and knowledge. Yeah. So when your belt turned dingy, you were advanced. When it turned black, you were a black belt. When it wore back to a white color, you were like a master or a higher level black belt. So that's why that's why the belts significantly get darker. Yellow, orange, purple, blue.
They get dirty, bruised.
Right,
yeah.
on the way up. And then and white to black belt in our system is at least 5 years. It's usually longer. It took me 7 years. So, yeah.
okay? Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. How cool.
So, go ahead. So you're running your school. It's the 80s, and then we get into the 90s. And did everything like still with the membership? Was it still high? I mean, I know it was at late 90s, early 2000s that karate kind of started going. I mean, did it start going down a little bit, or did you not experience that, or was that not the case?
I don't really feel like I felt like I was kind of ticking up slowly, which a lot of times they say in a business is like, that's really what you want for long term. If it spikes fast, it's going to drop fast.
Yeah.
So it was just ticking along. And the 90s, I love the 90s because that's when I got married. It's when I had my kids. That's when we were a young family, and the school was, I was working hard, but it was a great time. I look back on those, look at these pictures up here of my family in my office. That those are the times I look on very fondly. So, but I do feel like we were kind of ticking up. I do feel like the Great Recession was a little bit of a back off. I feel like that,
that hurt everybody.
Because karate is not the rent or the light bill or that, we're
groceries.
Right. I remember, I think it was, I don't know if it was Reagan, but Alan Greenspan, one of the presidents, used to look at Alan Greenspan at the time, and his check on the economy was dry cleaning. If there's a lot of people that are still doing dry cleaning, the economy's good.
Yeah.
Because that's not something you need.
Yeah.
So we're kind of like the dry cleaning. Karate is like, we're kind of the first thing to go, right?
Yeah.
Because if it's not expensive. So, but anyway, but we still came out of that. I mean, and then of course we had COVID a few years ago. We survived that. I want to hear the stat. I think I heard it was 1 out of 3 karate schools failed completely after COVID. So I had a friend or student that had a school in Folsom, and I think they had to close down. I think they were kind of looking to move back east anyway. They went back.
That was like the precursor or the thing that said
go. The thing that said it was time they wanted to go back to Missouri, and they sold their house in Folsom and bought a house outright in Missouri. So so life is easy.
Totally makes sense. Yeah. So let's talk some martial arts.
Yeah.
Let's get into. So you obviously your black belt in Kenpo. Mm-hmm. You said you had your brown belt in Okinawan?
Yeah, and Shorin-ryu.
Shorin-ryu.
Yep.
Is there other styles that you're experienced with, that, or one that you're like, oh, if I had time and money and means, this would be it?
Huck, my instructor, was also a student of Danny and Asano. So
cool.
Danny and Asano was originally an Ed Parker black belt, and then he later met and trained with Bruce Lee. But he also, because Danny, as I understand, he's Filipino, he also is big in Filipino martial arts.
Eskrima.
So, yeah, right. And so my instructor, Huck, Huck, his name is Richard Planas. Huck, H-U-K, is short for Huck Bellahop. So Huck Bellahop the Hucks were like the freedom fighters in the Philippines. They had long hair, long beards, he in the 60s had long hair, so everybody called him Huck. So that's where he got the name.
Okay.
Huck. So he had a lot of Filipino influence. I've gotten his Filipino influence. The Filipino arts and Kenpo really blend really well together. So between his basically Kali experience, and he that's what he trained a lot of us black belts that were, after black belt, a lot of times, we still did Kenpo, but we also worked with the Kali stuff as well, because again, like I said, they blend so well.
How cool.
Yeah, I had a guy here, Eli Corregidor, that was teaching Eskrima. I got my black belt in Eskrima through him. But so anyway, we've mixed. I don't think I've looked at something. I have looked at Okazaki Jiu-Jitsu. I really have a lot of respect for the jiu-jitsu school here in town, for Jane Carr, who just passed away, and Cheryl, her daughter, runs the school now. That is one of our sister systems. The jiu-jitsu that's in Kenpo is influenced by the Okazaki jiu-jitsu system. And I have a couple of my students, a couple of my black belts that are black belts in the Okazaki system. So if I had more time, I've thought, it'd be fun to do that. I also am really happy that I'm able to I have full use of my body, so my knees are good.
Yes.
Jiu-jitsu guys and judo guys have a reputation for having bad knees, and I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That hitting the floor. There's something about that.
I love the stand-up stuff. I love a little bit of the ground stuff, not a lot of it, but but a lot of the stand-up jiu-jitsu, we do a lot of that.
So I personally look at martial arts like food, right? If you were to tell me that for the rest of my life I could only eat like sandwiches, it's boring. Yeah. I look at it like, oh man, I'm going to have some, I'm going to have pizza tonight, and then tomorrow I'm going to have some Chinese food, and then I'm going to have some chicken, and then, a big steak. Yeah. And so like, all of that, it can't hurt.
No. And that's what Kenpo really is. It's funny because it depends on who you talk to. Like the hard style people will say, we're too progressive. And the progressive people, in fact, that was, I hate to say, kind of a disappointment. I just went to Dan and Asano school about a year ago, and it was like a bucket list thing for me.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt like, oh, you're just a Kenpo guy. I kind of got that. Oh, you're just a hard style guy. And I kind of thought, that's kind of disappointing. But Kenpo, came together in Hawaii, and since Hawaii is such a melting pot of Asian cultures, there was guys saying, "My dad showed me this. What'd your dad show you? What'd your dad show you?" So William Chow learned a soft style, basically a Chinese system from his father. He learned hard style karate from James Matosi. That's why we wear a gi. That's his influence. And they also trained with Henry Okazaki. Okazaki was famous in the islands for jiu-jitsu. In fact, in the 40s, you really wouldn't know what karate was. You knew what jiu-jitsu was, but you wouldn't know what karate was. So William Chow experimented with all these people, and it was, again, like everybody, hey, what'd you learn?
How cool.
And then Ed Parker put it together in an organized system. So again, some people might look at us and go, oh, you're straight hard. No, actually, we stole a lot of stuff from a lot of people. And we still steal stuff from people. If we like it.
Yeah. So and if it works.
If it works.
Yeah.
But we also understand the physics and kinesiology in the sense of going, I don't really think that's going to work. You know what I mean? And a lot of the things that we do are things you do normally. I'm thinking about swinging a baseball bat. You already know a lot of those principles. And a lot of those principles that are in baseball are going to apply to Kenpo. A lot of your other sports are going to apply to Kenpo, which, kind of segueing now, it's difficult to teach nowadays, a little harder, because kids and people they don't have those references anymore. They're so there's not as much. Kids are not in their bodies as much. So
I agree.
You can't say it's like throwing a ball. You have to
Some of them don't know how to
They don't
throw
know
a
how to-
ball.
You know what they do know how to throw? They know how to throw their game controller.
Yeah.
So I've changed the analogy from throwing a ball to throwing your game controller. Okay, then they get it.
And then they get it. Yeah, they're like, I know what that feels like.
Yeah. I can huck this across the
Learn how to
room.
talk to the new generation. Yeah. So anyway, that's the Kenpo thing is really it's surrounded against surrounded by physics and kinesiology and science and things that actually work, and you can relate it to your everyday kind of things.
Cool.
But again, nowadays we've got to try to find out. I think what our responsibility now is we now are the reference. We're teaching them how to use their body because they haven't used it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I see that. I only teach twice a week. And I love it, and it's super fun. But the references as I get older and the student average gets lower in relation. There's just stuff where I'm talking and they're looking at me like I'm speaking a whole nother language. You're like, okay, I got to find a segue here to connect.
We've probably seen them a blocker, which is basically a pillow on a stick, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of swing it at the kid, and and they block it. And so I'll never forget now having the feeling just a few years ago where usually you would kind of hit them with the pillow and they go, oh, and they put their arm at block it. Now they kind of look at you like, why are you still hitting me with the pillow? You know what I mean? Like the thought of putting your hands up to protect yourself isn't there. They're just kind of like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Or if they do put their arm up, it's kind of like a noodle.
Weak.
It just collapses in on itself.
And those used to be things that I thought were innate in us to go, put my hand up and protect myself. You always say you'll protect your eyes. You put your hands up. You have a bracing angle naturally against what's coming at you, and it's kind of not really going on these days.
It's definitely changed over the course of the years for sure. It's different.
It is.
If you talk to orthopedists, like kids don't break their arms anymore. Like there aren't kids in the
Really?
Yeah. So if I see a kid with a broken arm, I know this sounds strange, but I go, good for you. Like you were out living an adventurous life. Yeah. Did you break your arm riding your bike? Right on. Or climbing that thing, or because you're learning stuff. You're doing stuff, and you're learning about your body, what you can and can't do. I mean, I broke my arm when I was a kid. I mean, but that kind of stuff doesn't happen because our kids they're really protected nowadays, and so they're not really getting out and doing those things. So.
And
protected and things have changed. Like I remember, my mom would be like, "This summertime, get up, get out, and I'll see you when the street lights come on," kind of thing, or like, don't come home until you're hungry, or nowadays like. You don't leave the house. Yeah. Well, you left the yard.
Right. Yeah. And I've been doing a lot of research on that, and there's a lot of good books that are out there. One is The Anxious Generation. Another is called Generations. Another is On Being a Man by Scott Galloway. And they talk about generations and why they're different and why these things are happening. And so that way I can kind of understand what's happening when they walk in the door instead of just going, well, I used to do this when I was a kid. And I don't know.
This is the way it is.
This is the way it is.
Yeah.
Go, well, actually, there must be something because they're all like this.
Something's changed.
And think about how many of your dads, grandfathers, whatever, said to us, "What's wrong with you, you wimp?"
Yeah.
Every day.
Every generation. You know what I mean? So I think it's just look at it on a broad picture and go, okay, there's something happening here. There's something going on. It's not just...
No. Yeah. Have you ever read Tribes by Sebastian Junger?
I have not.
It goes right up that alley.
Yeah.
It talks a lot about that on a broader, not with just children, but like as a society. Yeah. It's pretty interesting.
I'm sure. Yeah. And some of the research I've done is the same, that we've kind of gone from the tribal to the individual thing.
Yes.
And since we're so individualized, that also has changed things. Mm-hmm. Now, the way that you think, the way the things that you do are different than thinking in a tribal section.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, and that's such a martial arts concept that what you're doing. Whereas you're like, well, instead of trying to force the old way,
Right.
you're like, well, something's changed. Now I have to adapt what I'm doing,
Right.
to in order to engage with
Right.
this new generation that's walking through the doors,
Right.
or this new type of behavior. Right.
It can, I always said there's two kind of teachers in martial arts. There's teachers that are there to have their students build their ego, or there's teachers that are there to help the student. So my job as the teacher is to look at, okay, this generation's different. How do I help this generation?
Yeah.
What do I do to help them out? And that's the
Build
job of the teacher martial artist now, is going, oh, okay, these things are different.
We're going to build you up instead of.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to build you up. Exactly.
How cool.
Yeah. And also, if again, running a business, you adapt or die, right? You adapt or die.
Well,
So,
yeah. And if you make every kid cry because they can't catch or they can't block,
right.
then
you got to go, okay, why can't you catch? Let's figure out why you can't catch. So,
Yeah.
I'll make you cry after a couple of years.
once I know you're not.
Once you know that I'm on your side, once
Yeah.
you know that I love you like a good parent, I'll tell you the truth. I'm not gonna. I always tell my students, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna tell you that was a fantastic. My new shirt I'm gonna make is gonna say, "Stop telling your child that they are amazing." So I'm not gonna tell you that kick was amazing if it's not amazing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, hey, good try. You're doing good. Keep up the good work. But I'm not gonna say that was amazing when it's no, that wasn't.
Now,
Unsatisfactory.
keep working on that one.
My advanced students always laugh at me, and they hate it when I say that's the right idea. I didn't realize I was doing that because one of my black belts said that means it's wrong. When you tell me that's the right idea, I get angry because I know I'm not doing it right.
I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that. That's
Okay,
good.
Okay.
You got the right idea, but you're totally wrong here. Holy cow. So, more on the teaching stuff, because I'm fascinated with that. What keeps you doing it? I mean, obviously you love it.
Yeah.
This is not is this the only job you've ever had?
Yeah, I've never had a real job.
How cool. How cool.
That's rad. Yeah.
I worked at a video store for a while. I worked there one day a week when I was younger.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about it. The closest thing you could say, I have taught at Monarch Learning Center, but I'm teaching karate there. I've taught karate there for almost, 24 years now.
Okay.
But
that's not your day job.
Yeah, it's still karate.
Yeah.
So this is it.
It's not like you're teaching French or something.
No. And I think that as I've hopefully matured, in the beginning as a younger guy, a younger teacher, it is a little bit more about your ego. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what young men are, right? They're all kind of
Ego driven.
Yeah. So I mean, wanting to build up a school and I mean, I think I've always cared about people. I think, I've cared about my students, but just more as time has gone by. And also, things like not being financially secure when you're older. I mean, I always joke, my wife makes the real money. I'm just a kept man. I really, she's
You're living the dream,
I'm
bud.
living the dream. Yeah, I have a beautiful wife that makes the real money. So I get to teach karate still. But the school is still successful. But I'm just saying, I think the shift is more from being the guy, the athlete, to more being the coach and looking at in long term, people, helping as many people in my community as I can help. When people come in my door, what can I do to help you?
Yeah.
Right. And kind of getting out of the idea, I used to think everybody could be a black belt. And now that dropping that bar helps a little too. Like everybody that walks in my door will not be a black belt, right? Like there's less than 1% of the people that walk in my door will get a black belt someday. Because that eventually takes somebody that's self-driven, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, we always say that, we are the weirdos. The black belts are the weirdos. And the normal people out there, they don't necessarily want to do what we want to do. What we're doing. But, and I don't want to say like we're hurting each other. I mean, I have very few injuries. I mean, the injuries I have are from snowboarding and lifting weights. I don't have any injuries from long-term injuries in martial arts. But anyway, but that's, I think, when I stop myself, take a deep breath and look and see the student and trying to help the student. And also, this might sound kind of strange, but we're kind of a center of cultural diversity. I was telling you about my student, Kim, and she was a weirdo in the sense that she was a neurosurgeon and she was a black belt, or a neurosurgeon and she was black. So a female black neurosurgeon is not normal. That's a different type of a person.
Yeah.
So eventually she came to my school, eventually got her. But when my son was growing up, she was there in the school all the time. And Redding and Shasta County, we don't have a lot of people of color. You know what I mean?
No.
So my son got to grow up with a person of color around him all the time and hearing her, learning
a
from
different
her.
perspective.
Yeah, learning from her. She grew up she grew up in Baltimore. I mean, like and the Kenpo school here has been like that a lot. We've had different people of different ethnicities. And faiths, and I always, prejudice grows from ignorance. Like, what I don't understand, it's easy for me to be prejudiced against that. But if we have all those people in the school and they're right here,
and you see that they're people,
and you talk with them, and like, wow, they're just like me, So that's been a fun part of being a teacher here. Also, is like, what can I do to help people? Can I be, I don't care what sex you are, your sexual orientation, your color. I don't care any about.
Be
that.
a good person.
Be a good person. Let's go train and have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that. I think that's cool. And your doors are open.
Yes.
You're open and come on in.
Yeah.
You have to be that way.
Right.
Like, no, you don't have to be that way. But I think personally, like, you ultimately are a much happier person when you are that way.
Absolutely.
Like, hey, do what you want to do. You be you and I'll be me, and we can get along if you want to.
Right.
Right,
yeah.
That's cool. Right on. So in having a school for as long as you've had and all the experiences, are you now getting children of students?
Oh, yeah.
And like,
that's been happening for a long time. I'm waiting for the grandchildren. That's the next. That's the next step. Somebody's going to say, yeah, you taught me, you taught my kids, and
now you're
going
to
teach.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I'm teaching some of the but I'm just waiting for that third generation thing to come around here. Yeah.
How cool.
It's fun.
That's coming. I'm sure.
And it's a real compliment that they, even though they didn't get their black belt or, but they had a positive experience here, positive enough to bring their children, right? Or bring their families. So that's an honor for somebody to say, yeah, I had such a great experience here. I'm bringing my kids.
Absolutely.
With that, having your doors open and doing that, one thing that I heard that you do with your school that's interesting, and that's why I'm asking, is you have open sparring nights, right?
Yeah. We've had that. Well, we were just talking about Herb, your old instructor.
Yeah.
When in the 80s, his school and our school, we used to fight with each other all the time every Thursday. Like it was
a thing.
Yeah.
It was a thing.
It was a thing. Yeah. And we were all friends, and the doors have always been open, but I haven't seen once in a while somebody comes in. It's very rare anymore. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah. I think that we have.
Honestly, I didn't know you were still doing it.
Yeah, well, right. So I never said we're not doing it. It's people just kind of stopped showing up.
They stopped showing up. You saying that was So do you? Is it open to people from other schools, or is it just people off the streets come in? Or
it's not real. I mean, we've had a couple people coming off the streets, and that was interesting. So anyway, that's open to the schools for sure.
Oh,
okay.
And it's a good attitude type of thing. I guess it's not
we're not
my dojo versus your dojo. It's like, hey, let's spar and
let's learn from each other.
Right. And as you spar with each other, you kind of feel each other out. What contact level are you comfortable with? What am I comfortable with? And because we both have to go to work tomorrow.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So,
And if I got a broken arm or a broken leg.
And I want you to come back next week so we can train together. If you're busted up, you can't come back for 6 weeks. That doesn't help me either or you. So, yeah. So, anyway, that's the idea. The non school thing. It's funny. I've had that happen a couple of times. And so this is traditionally, if somebody comes into the school and challenges the teacher, the way that is done is that you're not allowed. They don't go to the teacher first. They have to work their way up.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. So one day, we used to have a bar. We had a bar across the street from the old studio.
Oh yeah.
Every once in a while,
You get
Thursday night sparring. Somebody might
You got some liquid courage.
So some dude walks in the door and goes, because my name's on the door, who's Scott Halsey? And I had like 4 black belts that all said, I am. It was like, I'm Spartacus. And it was so funny. And a couple of times we'd have people, go ahead, sign the waiver. You want to fight?
Yeah.
Go ahead, here, fight Brandon. And that was another instance, one of my black belts. And I said, okay, just take it easy on the guy and feel him out a little bit, So Brandon was kind of taking it easy on the guy, waiting for the guy to stay, I give up. I'm done, And I, from a distance, I'm dialing Brandon up. Okay, you can go a little harder now. And I finally said, go ahead. and Brandon lit him up a little bit. Didn't injure him. But
Yeah.
it was like the message was
just
sent.
a tune-up.
Message was sent. And
Yeah.
the guy's like, okay, that's enough. Like
You stumbled into the wrong building tonight, buddy.
How funny. Oh man.
No, so that's just an interesting thing that I think is so I've never owned a school, right? But just doing a little instructing at our karate school, I think that's a really cool thing to do because it's treading a fine line of having your doors open, right? It's almost a safer thing to say, well, you're open to other schools because you're coming from another school, and I kind of got an idea what's coming in. Having somebody off the streets, I mean, that can get
risky.
It can get risky, but I totally respect it. Like I think that is awesome.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we're in the self-defense business, you know,
right.
like.
But I have an obligation to protect my students.
Absolutely.
So if some dude just came in off the street, I might say, sure, sign this waiver and I'll spar you first. I'll forget the old protocol.
Yeah.
Because I'm concerned about,
I can't have
my 100-pound college student.
Yeah.
That she's a brown belt, and I don't want I want to make sure that you're cool. And if you're cool and it's all good,
then we can move on. Yeah.
I did have years ago another funny one. I had one of my black belts. His son was a teenager, and his teenager friends were getting a little mouthy and cocky. So Bruce was like, "Okay, well, why don't you come in on Thursday and spar?" So, and we again didn't hurt him, but just humbled them a little bit. As I was sparring with one of them, he's asking for tips. Well, what if I do this? I said, oh no. I said, I get paid to teach. I'm not
going to give you a free lesson.
Yeah, I'm not going to give you a free lesson. I'll spar with you, but if you want me to teach you something.
How cool.
Wow. Yeah, there was a couple years ago when kind of at the height of when I was going to your tournaments and competing right around the red, brown, and black belts for our art. Yeah. And I was doing your tournaments. I had another friend I was training with, and he did a lot of Jeet Kune Do. And
I remember you telling me this.
Yeah, and him and I were talking about, we were just kicking around the idea of he's like, well, I want to go. He didn't have a gym or a school that he trained at really, and I was like, well, I think you could either become a member of our school and come train. He's like, I don't want to drive down to Anderson. And I was like, well, I think Scott Halsey's school, they've got open doors, for sparring. It was on Thursdays, and I was like, well, we could show up, and I was kind of like, man, like just be ready if you show up. Like I know how those guys are, like from the tournament, they know what they're doing.
They're good. Yeah.
We might walk in and then walk right out.
How awesome.
Well, it's a good reputation to have, so thanks.
Well, no, like we were talking earlier, though, your name has come up a few different times with different various guests, and this was always something that we wanted to do just because we know who you are, we know your character, and your school. And so thank you for obliging.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
It's super cool. You opened your school up to us to come in and do this. So yeah, this is a high point for us.
Oh, thank you.
Very high
for
point.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kenpo, my understanding of Kenpo was that it was a Japanese style with a little bit of Chinese. Is that generally correct, or is that like hogwash?
Anytime you talk about style or system, I make the analogy of Christianity.
Okay.
Like you can say karate and Christianity. So how many branches of Christianity are there? How many small churches start here and there? It's the same kind of thing. So Kenpo, K-M-P-O, was really the James Matosi line. That's his family line of karate. And that's real straight linear motion. And that's that looks more like hard style karate to me. Now, again, he had influence, but also William Chow, whose father taught a Chinese system. So beginning Kenpo looks really karate-ish, straight, linear. That's the easier stuff to teach.
Yes.
And then we start incorporating circles and then elongating the circles. So that's where you kind of see more of the blend. And then at the end of for instance, most self-defense techniques will start with some kind of a weapons destruction, like somebody's punching at you, you're attacking their arm, then move into their body, then do a takedown and do some kind of a lock. So that's kind of what we end up doing. So the jiu-jitsu part is there, but that's a little down the line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The big difference between Kenpo and jiu-jitsu is we have what we call a pacifier. So we won't put you in a lock, we hit you and put you in a lock. So or we poke you in the eye, hit you know what I mean? So so we do something.
There's a couple of steps before that.
Hurt you and or distract you, then I can put you in a lock. So, or if I'm trying to put you in a lock and things aren't working, then I hit you. So it's like, it's just so to me, my definition of Kenpo is really kind of that well-rounded thing. There is and I would say there's a little more of a Chinese influence than most Kenpo systems. Ed Parker used the N in Kenpo instead of the M. So Kenpo is more like James Matosi hardstyle karate. Kenpo with an N would be more like an Ed Parker influence. It has more Chinese influence because Ed Parker also trained with people in San Francisco and Chinatown. Ed Parker's father was also the boxing commissioner of Hawaii. So there's also a lot of boxing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of boxing that's in karate. One of my other teachers, Frank Trejo, was a boxer. So there's a lot of the boxing influence that's in there too. So again, I think of Kenpo and I think of a wide buffet. I don't think of just one thing. It can be easy to think that way because we have it looks very structured. We have self-defense techniques and there's a lot of memorization that's in it. Sometimes that's the less marketable part of Kenpo in some ways. Like they did the self-defense techniques as a marketing tool. Like, here's what I'm teaching you. Here's a manual, tangible manual of all the things written down that you need to learn and how to do them. And so
it makes it approachable.
Right. So all those, and it makes it Western in the sense that there's more, here is exactly what you need to do.
B, C, D.
It's not as broad, wide thinking, you know what I mean? So at first it looks very archaic, almost structured. Yes. And some people like that. A lot of people like the structure. I myself, I like the structure also. I would say it was probably something that was difficult for me with Dan and Sano school was like, he'd be like, here, do this, now do this, now do this, now do this.
It's just kind of smorgasbord of different
just throwing
things.
it at you. And I'm like, wait, I need to do that thing back. I need to go back.
Yeah.
And I want to drill that thing and get that really well. And then I can do that thing. You know what I mean? And get those drills down. And then once I have that into my body mechanics, my muscle memory, now it's time to be fluid. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You have structure, and even Bruce Lee, we say he's not a good example of Jeet Kune Do because he learned a classical system, and then he became fluid and spontaneous.
Yeah.
So and even watching Okinawan karate, watching those guys, the higher level, they also want to be flexible, spontaneous. So you look at that's just way too rigid. And like, no, actually the advanced stuff, everybody's going the same place, getting their different
just a
ways.
Different way. Right. Yeah. More than one path up the mountain.
Right.
So, gosh, there's so many questions. I want to ask about your specific style of teaching and what do you, after all of these years doing it, what is it that you're like, oh, I get to teach this tonight? Oh. What's your thing that you like to teach?
Well, there are certain techniques, like when somebody's testing for a black belt, and they have to do all these techniques, and you watch them do it, and you go, oh, you like that technique, don't you? And they're like, yeah, like I can tell because
you're using it. Yeah.
I can tell your body's familiar with it. You like it. So that's another reason why having all those techniques up there is that I might love Five Swords, the name, and you might not like it. You might like Calming the Storm better, and so, and in some ways you can go, well, let's combine them and put them together. But, but because you have all those up there and different people have different body styles and preferences, somebody can go, oh, I like that technique better. Okay, that's your body. You like that technique. I like that technique, So there are some, as time has gone by, I have a couple things that are my favorites, but there are definitely some that are up there. It's kind of like college where, I shouldn't say this. I didn't graduate from college.
Neither did I. It's okay.
I have degree envy. I'm the only person in my family who doesn't have a college degree.
Wow. Sounds familiar.
But as you move on, there's more theory towards, and not as much practicality. There's things obviously in school that you did that you'll never do ever again. You know what I mean? So,
but you have to learn those foundation things before you get to the theory kind of stuff.
Right.
And you're learning, and some of these techniques are like that. They're just kind of like theory, and some of them are teaching you how to move wrong. So in the beginning, we teach you, it's like a beginning students come in and they're like, I don't get it. You're like, I know, just do it.
Yeah, you
just
have
humor me.
To kind of like,
just trust me.
Yeah.
Well, there does come to a point where they can start asking questions, and now they're intelligent questions because they have a background. You've given them some basics.
They have a foundation.
So there are some techniques that are up there eventually that I tell my students, hey, if you don't like it, let's talk about it. Why don't you like it? Because this breaks this rule. This breaks this principle. I can't move this way. I could do this, but do I really want to do this? You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
And so, so there's sometimes there's a few in there like how not to move. This is what you should not do. And then hopefully the student goes. Now, I always tell my students, we won't do a bad technique and I won't tell you. There's a lot of guys that'll do that. Like, I'll teach you a bad technique, let you think it's good,
Oh, and then let you find out on your own that it's not good.
Or you never find out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's irresponsible. I think that's my job as your teacher. I'm only going to teach you what I feel will work. So anyway, but that's. So there's some techniques, I guess I'm reversing your question. There's some that I really don't like teaching. And we talk about, yeah. But the other ones are, the other ones all feel really good, But of course, as the main teacher here, I'm stuck with teaching usually the ones that are the hardest ones to teach. So I don't get to teach Five Swords, which is everybody's favorite technique.
Okay.
I get to teach variations of it, but stuff like that.
I like that. So I always liken it because my favorite thing about teaching is I'll get questions from people that I didn't think about.
Yes.
Like, hey, why do you do it like this? And I was like, oh, I never thought of that. I don't know. Hold on, let me think. Right. It makes my brain work in ways that I don't exercise that way normally. My brain works the way it works, and this is is the way we're going. And then I get this question, and I'm like, oh, I've never thought of that. I had no idea.
Right.
Let me come back to you on that.
Yeah.
So that's my stuff. Yeah. That's what I like.
We have a thing at the end of class, the advanced class, we call pass the back knuckle. So we make a line, everybody shake hands and hugs everybody as they go. And then we make a big line, and then everybody holds their hands up, and the idea is not to hurt the person next to you. I back knuckle you in the stomach.
Okay.
You key eye, let your air out, tighten up. Nobody gets hurt when we do it. But it's symbolic of me passing knowledge down. And then it comes the other direction because I learned from you and your mistakes as well. Oh. So that's exactly what you're saying.
That's cool.
And it used to be, as a brown belt, you had to have put in X amount of hours as a teacher. So that way, when you get up in front of a class as a black belt, you're not going,
right.
Oh, I don't remember that one. Hold on.
Or, I've never thought of that, So that's even still like a third degree black belt is a head instructor. Like a first degree black belt is a junior instructor, and so third degree black belt is a head instructor. So that way,
they know what's going on there. Right. Yeah.
So it's after 40 years, it's rare that somebody will say something that I haven't thought of or somebody said something to me now, you know, I'd like, oh yeah. And
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't have to make something up or, once in a while.
Yeah.
Once in a while, I'll get a good question and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good. And unfortunately Huck is passed now. So, I don't get to ask him anymore.
Yeah.
I got to say,
Well,
hey, what were you guys thinking when you made this technique? What was the idea behind this thing that you were doing? So now we've got to use our own brains a little bit more, and you know.
Well, that's kind of a question I thought about before we started recording. I was like, who do you go to now? Right? You're the school instructor. You're with your own school. You 9th degree black belt. When you've got a question, do you kind of sit there and figure it out?
Are there any questions at that point?
Yeah. Or do you send it down the chain? Kind of be like, hey guys, like I want to run this by you. Or like who would you send it up the chain to?
There isn't a send up to chain. When Ed Parker died, there were like 7 or 8 guys that were 7th degree black belts, and I went and explored them all. I went and did classes and stuff with them, and to make sure that because Huck was available, he was in Chico, and that was easy. You know, he wasn't living there, but
you're an hour away.
They were bringing him once a year or more, and I was bringing him so. Am I doing this because he's available or because he's the best at what he's doing? So.
You had to find out.
Yeah, and I found out in a big way that far and away, I mean, not just a little bit, but far and away, he knew more about Kenpo than anybody else. And I remember going places and seeing people talking themselves up, but if Huck walked in the room,
it got quiet.
It got quiet. They weren't bragging.
All of a sudden, they weren't so great.
Yeah, right. Because so it was always interesting to see that happen. So it was. So I got
so funny.
I got the best of the best. I got. Again, joking about the horse's mouth. I learned from the horse, you know. So
that's fortunate.
Yeah, it was so fortunate. So and it was a gift. I mean, he put time into me, you know, and I mean, he did seminars here, but he didn't make a ton of money off me. You know what I mean? It wasn't like it wasn't just a business deal. It was like, you know, I could tell that he would, you know, it was more done
out of the camaraderie, and the love,
out of friendship of friendship and love, you know, that he was doing it. And anyway, so now. Again, you know, it doesn't happen that often, but you know, there are times when I go, "Wow, I wish I still had Huck to ask him that question." Now, I do have brothers that are, you know, other 9th degree black belts, and sometimes we can bounce off each other. I say, "Hey, did Huck tell you this on this technique?" Or, you know, so we have each other.
So you have something.
Yes, right. But in the long run, also, I tell my students, like, you're not learning Ed Parker's Kenpo karate. You're really learning Scott Halsey's Kenpo karate. I mean, I'm trying to keep it as close to what Huck and Parker were doing. But I mean, in the long run, it's Scott Halsey's Kenpo karate. And if I have an answer for them that's not a Huck answer, I'll tell them that. Say, this is my answer, not necessarily, you know, the grandmaster from before's answer, and honestly, most of my students are good with that. They're happy with it. So
makes sense.
Yeah,
makes sense. I mean, at a certain point, when you've been doing it this long, you kind of have to go, well, this works.
Yeah,
like,
right,
you know what I mean? I kind of know what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
You know?
And you're on your own. You know, I mean, I'm sure when Einstein died, everybody said, "Well, he's dead now. What do we do now?"
Yeah.
You know, so what? You know, well, you got to think on your own.
Yes.
We all have a brain. It's just we got to, you know.
And that's kind of part of growing up.
Yes.
You know, is thinking on your own.
Yeah.
You know, and like you said, the teacher, I'm here to show you the way, but not drag you down the path.
Right.
You know, and there's a lot of things, like even though Dustin and I, we tested with we rose through the ranks of Wing Dao together, and then we tested on the same day for our black belt. It was me and you and 3 other people, so 5 of us total. And but there's still times where I go to Dustin and I'm like, "Hey Dustin, what's the answer to this question?" You know, I still need to ask you the question. And,
or like, "Hey, let's try this."
Yeah, let's try this.
I'm not 100% sure about this, you know.
Well, nothing about martial arts is 100%.
No,
I tell them, I'm only increasing your possibilities, your chances, your percentages of being successful in a bad situation. I can't guarantee you.
Absolutely,
I can't guarantee me anything.
No,
I don't.
There's no guarantees in life,
and I think that's part of being a higher teacher is a sense that you realize that there's no answer to everything.
Absolutely.
That's why I don't want to get in a fight.
Well, you know what it feels like.
I'd much rather sit down and have a beer with you than fight with you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
And that was a good question that you asked about teaching, and you've done it for so long now. Like, I look at Dustin and I see you teaching and how you get motivated in front of the class, and like, man, like that is something that teaching, it's part of being a black belt, right? Mm-hmm. You have to do it. And in our art, you have to do a certain amount of teaching at brown belt as well to get to your black belt. And I found my gift, what I like teaching is kind of more one-on-one. And I see Dustin get in front of the class and you're just highly motivated and you want to teach everything. And it's really cool, to see that.
I probably put more miles in the mat than I do in my everyday life, just because I'm like bouncing from group to group to group, but no, I enjoy it.
And you show up to class like you're like, man, I'm like ready to go, and you're like, hey, how's everyone doing today? Real energy, same energy you got, Scott. And it's really cool to see students come in the school, I'm sure here too as well, and then you welcome them with that energy. Mm-hmm. That's just rad, Yeah.
And there's different motivations for it. Like, this is not your job, right?
No, I want it to be.
Yes. So I have my black belts too. Like, when they're pretty motivated, they want to get in there and do it. And this is my job. So I love that saying about, if you do what you love for a living, you'll never work a day in your life. That's a bunch of crap. You work harder.
Yeah. Because you want to keep it.
Yeah. I remember Pat Haley, again, one of my mentors in business, saying, I own my own business and I only work half days, 12 hours, and I'm done.
Absolutely.
So getting in front of the class, there are times and quite often where I'm tired. I don't want to, my body's tired. I don't want to, and I use that sometimes with my adult classes too.
Yeah.
Like I'm sometimes I go, you know what? I don't want to do this either. I'm tired. I'd love to go home and sit on the couch and watch TV and eat some chips.
But we're here.
But I'm here.
Yeah.
And I know that the minute I get some adrenaline going, I'm going to feel good. Mm-hmm. And it's going to keep going again. I'm going to get better, feeling better about it. And the students I have here, we're like friends too. You know what I mean? So this is my social outlet as well as, so I guess I'm saying, I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's hard because it's your job.
Well,
but you do have to be the energy in the room.
Yeah.
Like if you're the teacher, the energy in the room is you. And if you have low energy and you have low,
I've
if
experienced
you're having a bad day and you're pushing it off on everybody else, it's going to be a bad class.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to turn it around and go, let's do this better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're the driving force of that energy.
Yeah.
No, I joke with people because I've had people ask me if I'm going to open my own school or anything like that. I'm like, I have no desire. I get to do the best part of running the school. Like, I'm teaching. I go home. I lock the door. See, guys, I'm done. Yeah. I'll let Blaine pay the bills.
Pay the bills and deal with the.
I love the guy. I've known him since the sixth grade. Yeah. And if I have a problem student, it's like, listen, the guy's name that you need to talk to is right on the sign outside. And he's the one to talk to about this.
Yeah.
You don't have to be here, you know.
Because as a teacher, you're a therapist quite often. Too.
Oh, yeah.
More for your students and for their parents, for the kids' parents. There's a whole dynamic that happens there sometimes. And again, that's why doing research on generations and things is trying to understand why the parents are thinking the way they're thinking, what's happening with them. And so
all of their baggage.
Yes, right. Sure. Yeah, how they're thinking. Yeah.
Well, hey, we try and keep this around an hour.
Okay.
And we're hit that mark.
Okay.
We could go on, and I would love to go on, but I think I don't want to keep you from doing any of the other stuff you need to do today. I would love to give you the opportunity though to talk about, where your school is, anything that you want to talk about related to your business. And if you have any other questions or anything else you want to add.
I think we only started barely scratching the surface of you and Kenpo and all that. I want to hear more. So I definitely think we need to have him on again. If you want to come back again.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah. Just, we were at the north end of the downtown promenade, or the mall or whatever you want to call it over those years. I opened that location in 1989. We started in 1986 off of Eureka Way. That's where I started with Phil, my original partner. Then we moved the school in 1989 to the north end of the downtown mall. And
that's where I remember.
We started knocking down walls because we were growing. We were there for, almost 30 years. Terrible landlord. Never fixed the roof, It was leaky, smelly, anyway, but it was a great location because, again, you just said you knew where we were, and that's why I got that, was because I knew people were going to drive by it all the time. And so I thought, gosh, this is like doing a demonstration 24/7.
And with the big windows up front.
See what's going on. So when we bought this building, we're now on Pleasant Street. We're basically just off Placer between Benton Air Park and Holiday Market. And when we bought this place, I was really kind of nervous about that, scared about that, because I know I didn't think the visibility was as much as it was down there. But I've come to find out a lot of people do know where we are. Whenever they call, I say, "Oh, we know exactly where you are." So I think the visibility is okay, but also, again, adapt or die. The market now is your phone. People look up karate Reading, so you got to have and we do have a great website that I just got updated, and so you got to have a good website. Got to have people be able to contact you through the website. So we've done well, even though we moved from that location that we were at for so long. So it was a little scary, but this place is
it's amazing.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I love this place. Yeah, it was just like a palace compared to where we were before.
Yeah, and it's bigger. It doesn't smell like a wet saw.
Right. We worked hard on that.
That's so awesome. Well, like I was saying earlier, it's a tremendous honor to have you here. Thank you. We didn't even have to arm wrestle him or anything, which I'm grateful for. Just thank you very much. Do you have social media?
Yeah, I was just saying.
Plug your social media, please.
ReadingKarate.com. Look us up at ReadingKarate.com, and that's where our website is, and that's how you can contact us. And
are you on Facebook?
I am on Facebook. Okay. Yeah, Scott Halsey's Kenpo Karate. I haven't got on Instagram as much as I should.
It's fun.
I'm kind of a Luddite in the sense that I'm kind of slow on the social media stuff, but that's why I'm glad that you guys are here today.
Any of that stuff, I'm slightly more advanced than a Luddite.
Okay.
But any of my knowledge, you're welcome to it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. I think we're good. Friends, thank you for joining us. If you had fun, hopefully you had as much fun as Tyler and I did. I don't know that you will, though, because you weren't here. Please listen in. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. All of those can be found at The Formless Pod. We have an email address called theformlesspod@gmail.com. Our website is The Formless Pod, where we have shirts, hats, merchandise of all sorts. Until next time.